Have you ever wondered how someone who's smart, careful, totally responsible with their money can get caught in a financial scam? It's so easy for us to sit back and think, oh, that could never happen to me. Well, today we're going to break down the anatomy of a real deception. We're not going to use a bunch of abstract stats. We're going to do it through a personal story. Let's dig in and see how this actually happens, step by step.
Right? This is the big question, isn't it? Because it's not always about being greedy or, being careless. So often it comes down to a really sophisticated manipulation of one of our most basic human emotions, trust. We're going to explore exactly how that trust gets built up and then how it gets completely and totally shattered.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story is all about a woman named Lucy. And honestly, Lucy's probably a lot like you and a lot like me. She's the kind of person who always thinks twice, maybe even 3 times, before making any kind of financial move.
And this, right here, this is what makes her story so chilling. See, Lucy isn't a gambler. She's not a big risk taker. She saves her money. She's prudent. She's exactly the kind of person who would think she's immune to this sort of thing. And that foundation of caution is what makes her story so powerful and, frankly, pretty unsettling.
And here we have it, the first and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle, the warm introduction. This whole opportunity didn't come from some random cold call or a spammy email that we all know to delete. Nope, it came from a friend, a trusted source. And that one little act of recommendation, it bypasses dozens of our natural defenses, just like that.
And you gotta look at the psychology here. Ghazala, the advisor, she didn't promise to make Lucy a millionaire overnight. That would have been a red flag, right? The promises were reasonable. Steady profits, a safe way to grow your savings. You combine that with a really confident, knowledgeable tone and just a gentle push to invest. Not aggressive, just insistent. It all creates this perfect illusion of a low-risk, super credible opportunity.
So now we're moving into phase 2. I kind of call this the honeymoon period. This is where the scammer takes that initial seed of trust and starts to water it, making it grow by providing what looks like hard proof that everything is going perfectly.
For 2 whole months, everything looked amazing. Lucy would check her account and she'd see growing profits. Now, 2 months isn't a long time, but think about it. It's just long enough to turn a hopeful belief into what feels like a proven fact. It's that critical window where the scammer solidifies your confidence, making the whole illusion feel absolutely real.
And this is exactly how the scam escalates. That first investment, that was a leap of faith, right? It was based on her friend's word. But the second investment, the much bigger one, that was based on Lucy's own experience. It was based on the profits she was seeing with her own 2 eyes. The scammer had brilliantly shifted the source of trust from her friend to herself.
This timeline really shows how fast that dream soured. Those first couple of months of success, that was just the setup. As soon as the bigger chunk of money was in, the profits just stopped. And that's when a whole new phase of the scam kicked in, the stall.
And the excuses, they always sound so plausible. They're designed to tap into what we don't know about these complex financial systems. Oh, there were some market shifts. We're seeing unexpected delays. There's a technical glitch. These are things that sound real, and for someone who's not an expert, they're really, really hard to argue with. Every single excuse is just designed to buy more time and create more confusion.
And that brings us to, well, the most painful part of this whole story. This is the moment where that carefully built reality just shatters into a million pieces, and the ugly truth comes rushing in.
This is the sentence that changes everything. It's the confirmation from the very same friend who made the recommendation in the first place. I mean, can you imagine? It's just a devastating moment because it reveals that the entire foundation of this whole thing, that initial trusted word, was itself built on a lie.
So it starts as this very personal, isolating problem. It quickly explodes into a widespread deception. All of a sudden, social media just lights up. One person tells their story, and that empowers another person to speak up, and then another. And pretty soon, the full, terrifying scope of this web of lies becomes crystal clear. It wasn't just Lucy. It was an entire community of victims.
Now, when you're faced with a betrayal like that, it is so easy to just crumble. But this is where Lucy's story really takes a turn. Instead of letting this loss define her, she decides she is going to redefine the narrative. But first, she had to get past this feeling, this question, how could I have been so blind? Almost every single victim of a scam asks themselves this. The shame, the self-blame, it can be just as damaging as losing the money. It's this powerful tool of silence that the scammers absolutely count on.
And this is the moment. This is where everything changes. It's the moment Lucy chose to reject that shame and turn her pain into action. This is the pivot from being a passive victim to becoming an active advocate, for herself and for everyone else.
And that's really why her story matters so much to all of us, because from her awful experience, we can pull out a clear set of lessons. A playbook, really, that can help protect all of us from finding ourselves in the same situation.
Just look at these steps. They're so clear, so powerful. First, and this is the most important one, overcome the shame. This is not your fault. Then, you get practical. Gather the proof. Every single text, every email, every bank statement. Third, report it to the authorities. Silence only protects the scammer. And finally, warn your community. Use what happened to you to break the cycle for someone else.
Ultimately, this is the lesson right at the heart of Lucy's story. Trust isn't something you should just give away, not even on the word of a good friend. It has to be earned. It has to be verified. And our own vigilance, our willingness to ask the tough questions and demand proof, that is our strongest shield.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We know that our own vigilance is absolutely critical. But is it enough? Remember, Lucy's story started with a friend, and it found its power when a community of victims all started speaking out together. It really makes you wonder. In a world where these scams are getting more and more sophisticated, whose responsibility is it to help us build and maintain that shield?